Imagine for a moment, just for a second, that you are holding a handful of diamonds, rough, uncut, but infinitely valuable diamonds. They are the sum total of your potential. They are your future. They are your peace. They are the deepest desires of your heart. Now imagine you are walking through a crowded marketplace. It's loud. It's chaotic. People are shoving, shouting, desperate for something to call their own. And you, because you are kind, because you are open, because you have been taught that sharing is caring, you open your hand. You show them the diamonds. You say, look what I found. Look what I have. What happens next? Do they applaud you? Do they protect you? Or do they snatch them? Do they knock them from your grasp into the mud? Do they look at your treasure with eyes of jealousy and plot how to take it from you? We live in a strange time. A time where we lock our doors, we hide our passwords, we protect our phones with facial recognition, yet we leave our lives completely unlocked. We treat our souls like a public park where anyone can walk in, trample the grass, and leave their trash behind. We have forgotten that some treasures are best kept hidden, not because we are dishonest, but because we are smart. I want to ask you a brutal question, and I need you to be honest with me. How many times have you sabotaged your own life simply because you couldn't keep your mouth shut? How many times have you felt the excitement of a new idea, a new love, or a new financial win, and you rushed to tell a friend, a coworker, or a family member, only to watch the energy drain out of it? Moments later, you saw their eyes glaze over, you heard the subtle dig, you felt the shift in the room, and suddenly, that beautiful thing you held, it felt heavy. It felt foolish. It died before it ever had a chance to live. You are sabotaging your own prayers. You are handing the enemy the ammunition to destroy what you are trying to build. We are going to go on a journey today. We are going to walk into the deep waters of psychology, spiritual warfare, and human nature. I am going to reveal to you the 5 things you must never, ever share with anyone, not even your family. This is not about being secretive for the sake of it. This is about survival. This is about protecting the sanctity of your future. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need to know your every move. A lion doesn't announce its hunt. It moves in silence. And when it strikes, the result speaks for itself. If you are tired of starting over, if you are tired of feeling drained, manipulated, and misunderstood, then you need to listen closely. Because what you are about to hear isn't just advice. It is the missing key to your power. Let's talk about the lie. The lie that has kept you stuck. We have been conditioned to believe that we must be an open book. We think that vulnerability is always strength, that transparency creates connection, and that if we just explain ourselves enough, people will support us. But here is the dark reality that nobody tells you. Information is power. And when you give away your information freely, you become powerless. You are handing over the keys to your psychological kingdom. You think you are venting? No. You are leaking energy. You think you are bonding? No. You are arming your competition. Think about the last time you had a massive goal. Maybe you were going to start a business. Maybe you were going to lose 20 pounds. Maybe you were going to write a book. You felt that fire in your belly, didn't you? It kept you up at night. It was a secret engine driving you forward. Then you told someone, I'm going to start a business. You said over dinner, I'm going to change my life. And in that exact moment, something chemical happened in your brain. Psychology tells us that when you announce your goals, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, a premature reward. Your brain tricks you into feeling like you've already achieved the goal just by talking about it. You get the applause before you've done the work. You get the validation before the victory. And what happens to that fire? It goes out. The hunger dissipates. You talked it to death. You traded the grueling, silent satisfaction of achievement for the cheap instant high of an announcement. And 3 weeks later, when the work gets hard, you have no fuel left in the tank because you spend it all on the conversation. But it's worse than just losing motivation. When you speak too soon, you invite the dream killers. I want you to think about a young man named Joseph. You might know the story. He was 17 years old, gifted, loved, and he had a dream, a literal prophetic dream that he was going to be great, that he was going to lead. It was a true vision. It was his destiny. But he made one fatal mistake. He went to his brothers, the people who were supposed to love him most, and he said, listen to this dream I had. He thought they would be happy for him. He thought they would celebrate his potential. But he was naive. He didn't understand that your elevation often exposes someone else's stagnation. He didn't realize that his light made their darkness feel deeper. What did they do? They threw him in a pit. They sold him into slavery. Joseph lost 13 years of his life. 13 years of prison, 13 years of betrayal, 13 years of pain, all because he spoke a true vision at the wrong time to the wrong people. How many of you are in a pit right now because you told your brothers your dream? How many of you are facing opposition at work because you told a colleague your next move? How many of you are dealing with family drama because you shared a blessing that they weren't spiritual enough to handle? You see, not everyone wants to see you win. That is a hard pill to swallow, especially for those of us with big hearts. We want to believe the best in people. We want to believe that our friends are rooting for us. And sure, they might support you when you're struggling. They might support you when you're down. People love a victim. It makes them feel superior. It makes them feel needed. But what happens when you start to rise? What happens when you start to outgrow the box they put you in? Suddenly, the comments change. Are you sure that's a good idea? That sounds risky. Who do you think you are? They project their fears onto you. They project their limitations onto your limitless potential. And if you aren't careful, if you haven't built a fortress around your mind, you will start to believe them. You will take their doubt and make it your own. You will look at your diamond and start to see a rock. There is a psychological concept called shadow projection. Carl Jung talked about this. When you start to awaken, when you start to see things clearly and move with certainty, it triggers the unconscious insecurity in the people around you. Your certainty feels like an attack on their confusion. Your growth feels like an insult to their stagnation. So they attack, they judge, they try to pull you back down to their level, not because they are evil, but because they are asleep. And you, in your innocence, you keep shaking them, trying to wake them up, trying to show them what you see. But you cannot wake someone who is pretending to be asleep. You can only protect yourself. The 5 pillars of silence. We are going to walk through the fire now. We are going to examine the 5 specific areas of your life where you absolutely must install a security system. These are the things that once released cannot be gathered back. These are the things that, if shared, will be used to dismantle you. The architect of your own demise, your next big move. The first thing you must never ever reveal is your next big move, your plan, your strategy, the ace up your sleeve. Life is like a game of chess. Imagine sitting across from an opponent. Would you tell them, I'm going to move my knight here, and then in 3 turns I'm going to capture your queen? Of course not. They would block you. They would counter you. They would destroy your strategy before it even began. Yet we do this in life every single day. We tell people, I'm planning to quit this job. I'm planning to invest in this property. I'm planning to move to a new city. You have just shown your hand. When you reveal your plan, you lose the element of surprise. And the element of surprise is a weapon. When you work in silence, nobody knows what to attack. Nobody knows where to aim their arrows because they can't see the target. They think you're just standing still. Meanwhile, you are building an empire in the dark. There is a power in being underestimated. Let them think you are doing nothing. Let them think you are drifting. Let them assume you are broke or lost or stagnant. Let them sleep on you. Because while they are sleeping, you are grinding. While they are talking, you are executing. And then, one day, boom, you launch, you move, you succeed, and it hits them like a thunderclap. They ask, how did you do this? Where did this come from? It came from the silence. It came from the discipline of holding your tongue. If you tell people what you are doing, you are inviting the 2 Ds, doubt and distraction. You will spend all your energy defending your plan instead of executing it. You will find yourself arguing with people who have never built anything, trying to convince them that your blueprint is valid. Why? Why do you need their permission? Why do you need their stamp of approval? Stop asking for directions from people who have never been where you are going. Keep your next move a mystery. Let the results be your noise. Let your success be the only announcement you ever make. The trap of vulnerability, your weaknesses and past mistakes. Now this second one, this is where it gets controversial. Because society tells you, be vulnerable, share your trauma, tell everyone your mess. Listen to me very carefully. There is a difference between healing and advertising your wounds. The second thing you must never share with just anyone is your deepest weakness and your past mistakes. We all have a past. We all have things we are ashamed of. We all have moments where we fell short, where we were the villain, where we were broken. And yes, you need to process that. You need to heal. But you do that with a therapist. You do that with God. You do that with a mentor who has proven their loyalty over decades. You do not do that with the general public. You do not do that with a new friend you just met. You do not do that with coworkers. Why? Because the world is not as kind as you want it to be. Human beings have an instinct for leverage. When you tell someone, I am insecure about my intelligence, or I have a history of being manipulated, or I betrayed someone 10 years ago, you are handing them a loaded gun. You are giving them the exact coordinates of your softest spot. And right now, while things are good, they might hold that gun by the handle. They might listen and nod and say, oh, thank you for sharing. But life is long, seasons change, conflicts happen. And in a moment of anger, in a moment of competition, that information you gave them in confidence, it becomes a weapon. They will use it to hurt you. They will use it to discredit you. They will say, well, we can't trust him with this project. Remember, he told us he has a history of anxiety, or she's just acting crazy again. Remember, she told us about her trauma. They will define you by your lowest moment. You have worked so hard to grow. You have worked so hard to become a new person. But when you overshare your past, you chain yourself to the old version of you in their minds. You don't let them see who you are now. You force them to look at who you were. There is a spiritual principle here too. When God forgives you, he casts your sins into the sea of forgetfulness. He wipes the slate clean. Why do you keep fishing them back out and showing them to people? Why do you keep reviving the dead man? Stop confessing to people who have no power to absolve you. Stop looking for pity. Pity is not love. Pity is a dead-end street. Respect. Respect is what you want. And respect is earned by how you carry yourself today, not by how much you bleed out your past for an audience. The silent killer, your financial status. This third one is practical, but it destroys families. It destroys friendships. It ruins lives. Never ever share the details of your finances. I don't care if you are making millions, and I don't care if you are down to your last dollar. Keep your mouth shut about your money. Why? Because money changes everything. It changes the energy in the room. It changes the dynamic of every relationship. If you tell people you are doing well, if you flash your wins, share your salary, or brag about your investments, you attract three things: envy, expectation, and entitlement. People will start to look at you differently. They won't see you anymore. They will see what you can do for them. They will start to expect you to pay for dinner. They will expect you to loan them money. And when you say no, they won't just be disappointed, they will be offended. They will say, you have it. Why won't you help me? You've changed. You haven't changed. Their perception of you has changed because you gave them too much information. You become an ATM with a heartbeat. You attract fake friends who are only there for the shade of your tree, not the strength of your roots. On the flip side, if you tell people you are struggling, if you tell them you are broke, you invite pity and contempt. In the professional world, if people smell desperation, they run. If a client knows you need the money, they will lowball you. If a boss knows you are living paycheck to paycheck, they know they can treat you poorly because you can't afford to quit. Silence is your shield. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Live below your means. Be humble. If you are wealthy, look ordinary. If you are struggling, look dignified. Your bank account is a private conversation between you and your future. It is not a group chat. 4. The sacred circle. Your family and relationship conflicts. We have all done this. We get into a fight with our spouse or our parents or our children, and we pick up the phone. We call a friend. We vent. We tell them everything he said, everything she did. We paint the picture of our victimhood. And in that moment, it feels good. It feels like a release. But listen to me. You are poisoning your own well, because here is what happens. You and your spouse, you will forgive each other. You will make up. You will move on because you love each other. But your friend, your mother, your coworker, they will never forgive. They will never forget. You might be laughing together next week, but that friend is looking at your partner with disgust because of what you told them. You have tainted their view forever. You have recruited an army against your own house. What happens in your house should stay in your house. Your home is holy ground. It is a sanctuary. When you open the doors and invite the public into your private struggles, you break the sanctity of that bond. You are inviting spiritual interference. You are inviting gossip. And let's be honest, some people love your drama. They eat it up. They act concerned. They nod their heads. They say, oh, that's terrible. But secretly, they are glad it's happening to you and not them. They are glad to see the cracks in your perfect picture. Don't give them the satisfaction. If you have real problems, go to a professional. Go to a therapist who is paid to keep your secrets and help you fix them. Do not go to the court of public opinion. You cannot build a strong family if you are constantly dismantling it with your words to outsiders. So, why do we do it? Why do we spill everything? Because we are seeking validation. We are insecure. We want someone to look at us and say, you're doing good, or I feel sorry for you, or you're right. That we are trading our power for approval. But the most powerful people, the ones who truly change the world, they understand the power of the cocoon. Think about the caterpillar. When it is time for the greatest transformation of its life, when it is time to become something entirely new, it does not call a press conference. It does not post about it. It does not gather the other caterpillars around to explain the process. It goes into the dark. It builds a wall around itself. It isolates. It dissolves. It rebuilds itself in secret. And when it emerges, when it breaks out of that silence, it doesn't have to tell you it's a butterfly. You can see the wings. You are in a season of transformation right now. I can feel it. That is why you clicked on this video. That is why you are still listening. You are ready to shed the old skin. You are ready to fly. But you cannot do that if you are constantly opening up the cocoon to show people what's inside. You are interrupting the process. You are letting the heat escape. You need to become comfortable with being misunderstood. You need to become comfortable with people not knowing what you are up to. Let them think you fell off. Let them think you are quiet. Let them create their own narratives about why you aren't at the party, why you aren't sharing the gossip, why you aren't splashing your cash. Let them talk. You have work to do. There is a spiritual weight to this silence. In the ancient texts, Mary, the mother of Jesus, was given the greatest news in history. An angel told her she would carry the Messiah. And the scripture says she kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't run to the village square. She held it. She protected it because she knew that a seed needs darkness to grow. If you expose a seed to the sunlight too soon, it never takes root. It burns. Your dreams are seeds. Your recovery is a seed. Your wealth is a seed. Keep them in the dark soil of silence. Water them with your work. Nurture them with your faith. Protect them from the pest of public opinion. And trust me, when the harvest comes, when the tree bears fruit, you won't have to say a word. The fruit will speak for itself. The cliffhanger. But there is a problem. A massive problem that stands between you and this power. You see, knowing what not to share is only half the battle. The real struggle, the war you fight every single day, is how to keep your mouth shut when your emotions are screaming at you to speak. How do you handle the pressure when people pry? How do you deflect the questions without looking suspicious? How do you find support without exposing your neck? And most importantly, there is a fifth secret, the most dangerous one of all. It is the one thing that if you share it will strip you of your spiritual protection instantly. It is the trap that catches even the smartest, most successful people. It is the one thing you think you should share, but it is actually the thing that will destroy your reward before you ever receive it. If you mess this up, none of the other silence matters. Are you ready to hear what it is? Are you ready to close the door on the noise and step into the fortress of your own power? Listen closely, because this next part changes everything. I told you there was a fifth secret, the one that traps the righteous, the one that catches the good hearts, the one that turns your gold into dust before you can even spend it. Here it is. The fifth thing you must never ever share with anyone is your good deeds, your acts of kindness, your charity, the sacrifices you make when nobody is looking. We live in an era of performative goodness. We give $1 to a homeless man, and before the dollar hits his cup, we are reaching for our phone to record it. We volunteer for an hour, and we spend 3 hours editing the photos to show the world how humble we are. We want the receipt, we want the credit, we want the applause. But listen to the wisdom of the ages. There is an ancient, terrifying math to the universe. You can have the reward of human applause, or you can have the reward of divine power. You cannot have both. When you announce your generosity, when you tell your friends, I paid for his groceries, or I stayed up all night helping her, you have just cashed out your check. You got your likes, you got your wow, you're such a good person. And that is it. That is all you get. The spiritual weight of that action evaporates instantly. You are trading eternal crowns for temporary claps. There is a profound concept known as the left hand and the right hand. The wisdom says, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. It means your kindness should be so automatic, so secretive, that even you barely register it as a point of pride. Why is this dangerous to share? Because when you brag about your good deeds, you are not serving the person in need. You are serving your ego. You are using another human being's suffering as a prop for your own reputation. And people can feel that. They smell the inauthenticity. You think you are building an image of a saint, but you are actually revealing the insecurity of a narcissist who needs constant validation to feel worthy. Real character is what you do when the lights are off. Real power is built in the dark. Think about the most powerful forces in nature. The roots of the great oak tree grow in total darkness. The diamond is forged in the crushing deep of the earth, unseen. The embryo forms in the secret place of the womb. If you expose any of these things to the light too soon, they die. Your character is the same. When you keep your good deeds secret, something shifts inside you. You start to realize that you don't need the world to tell you that you are valuable. You know it. You know it because you have a secret history of goodness that belongs only to you and your Creator. That secret history builds a backbone of steel. It builds a quiet confidence that screams louder than any Instagram post ever could. So seal your lips. If you help someone, bury that story in the grave. Let God be the only witness. Let the universe balance the scales. Stop trying to invoice the world for your kindness. Now, we have covered the 5 pillars of silence. You know what to keep quiet, but knowing is not doing. Knowledge without application is just another form of failure. The question now shifts from what to how. How do you actually do this? How do you walk into a room full of people gossiping, bragging, and seeking validation and remain a stone wall? How do you kill the urge to spill your guts when you are excited or hurting? This requires a fundamental shift in your psychology. You need to build what I call a mental firewall. This is where we separate the children from the masters. This is where we leave the victim mentality behind and step into the mindset of a strategist. You have to understand that your energy is a finite resource. Every word you speak is a leakage of power. When you talk about your plans, you are not just sharing information, you are dissipating the tension required to execute them. Psychology tells us that the brain cannot distinguish between talking about a goal and achieving it. When you tell everyone, I'm going to run a marathon, your brain releases dopamine. It gives you the reward before you have run a single mile. You feel good, you feel accomplished, and because you feel accomplished, the hunger dies, the drive evaporates. You have to learn to love the hunger. You have to learn to be addicted to the tension of the unsaid. Imagine you are a dam holding back a massive river. As long as the dam holds, the water builds up, the pressure rises, the potential energy becomes massive. That energy can generate electricity, it can power cities, it can change the landscape. But if you punch 1,000 little holes in the dam, if you leak a little bit here to your friend, a little bit there to your coworker, a little bit on social media, the pressure never builds. You become a harmless trickle. You lose the power to break through obstacles. You need to become comfortable with people not understanding you. You need to become comfortable with being underestimated. In fact, you should want to be underestimated. When people think you are doing nothing, they lower their guard. When they think you are average, they don't see you coming. The art of war teaches us that all warfare is based on deception. Your life is a war for your potential. Why are you handing the enemy your battle plans? You must adopt the mindset of the grandmaster. A chess player never touches a piece until he is ready to move. He sits, he stares, he calculates, he controls his breathing. He does not explain his strategy to his opponent. He does not ask the audience for validation. He moves in silence, and when he strikes, it is final. This shift requires you to kill your addiction to external validation. You have been trained like a dog to perform for treats. Look at me, like my photo. Validate my existence. Stop it. You are not a dog, you are a lion. And a lion does not need the sheep to tell him he is powerful. The discipline, winning the morning. So how do we build this fortitude? How do we train the mind to hold its tongue? It starts in the first hour of the day. If you lose the morning, you lose the day. If you lose the day, you lose the week. If you lose the weeks, you lose your life. It is that simple. Most of you wake up, and the first thing you do is reach for your phone. You open the floodgates. You let the world into your bedroom before you have even stood up. You look at other people's lives, other people's opinions, other people's emergencies. You are programming your mind for reaction, not creation. You are feeding your mind junk food before it has even had a glass of water. If you want to build the discipline of silence, you must reclaim the first hour. This is your holy ground. The silence of the body. You need to move. I don't care if it's 5 a.m. and pitch black. I don't care if it's cold. You get up and you move your blood. Push-ups, running, stretching. When you discipline the body, you discipline the mind. You are teaching your brain that you are in charge, not your feelings. You are building the physical capacity to hold the weight of your own potential, the silence of the mind. You must feed your mind something valuable before you speak to a soul. Read for 30 minutes, read philosophy, read strategy, read the words of men and women who conquered the world. Jim Rohn said, stand guard at the door of your mind. If you don't plant flowers in the garden of your mind, weeds will grow automatically. You don't have to plant weeds, they just show up. You have to cultivate the strength. 3, the visualization of the wall. Before you step out the door, visualize your day. See yourself in the meetings. See yourself at the family dinner. See the moments where you usually overshare, where you usually complain, where you usually brag. And visualize yourself stopping. See yourself smiling and saying nothing. Practice the mental firewall. Rehearse the silence. Athletes visualize their shots. You must visualize your restraint. This isn't about being cold. This isn't about being antisocial. It is about conservation of energy. It is about understanding that you are a reservoir of power and you cannot afford to leak. Now we go deeper. We go into the psychology of the self. Because the reason you overshare, the reason you can't keep a secret is because you haven't integrated your shadow. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, taught us that we all have a dark side, a side we hide, a side we are ashamed of, the shadow. Most people spend their entire lives running from their shadow. They pretend it doesn't exist. They project it onto others. Oh, he is so greedy. Oh, she is so jealous. No, that is you. You are seeing your own reflection and you hate it. When you haven't faced your shadow, you are desperate for people to tell you that you are good. You overshare your good deeds because you are terrified that deep down you might be bad. You overshare your trauma because you need people to tell you that you are a victim, not a villain. But the awakened individual, the elite mind, does the work in the dark. You must sit with your shadow. You must have the conversation with the parts of yourself that are ugly, the parts that are jealous, the parts that are fearful. You don't confess these things to your neighbor. You don't confess them to the internet. You confess them to yourself. You confess them to God. You integrate them. When you accept that you are capable of great evil, and yet you choose to do good, that is when you become dangerous. That is when you become solid. You no longer need to prove your goodness to anyone, because you are no longer running from your badness. You are whole. This is the process of the cocoon. I want you to think about the caterpillar again. When it enters the cocoon, it doesn't just sprout wings, it dissolves. It turns into a soup. It completely unmakes itself. It is a messy, destructive, private process. If you were to cut open a cocoon halfway through, you would kill the butterfly. You would interrupt the magic. You are in your cocoon right now. You are dissolving your old self. You are confronting your demons. You are restructuring your mind. Do not cut open the cocoon for an audience. Do not invite people to watch you dissolve. They will not understand the goo. They will not understand the mess. They will judge the process because they cannot see the outcome. Keep your transformation hermetically sealed. There is a concept called the sacred wound. We all have one. The trauma that defined us, the heartbreak that shaped us. Jung warned that if you reveal your sacred wound to the wrong people, they will drag you back into the victim role. They will weaponize your pain. They will keep you bleeding because your blood feeds their need for drama. Your wound is your power source. It is where your empathy comes from. It is where your drive comes from. But it is like a nuclear reactor core. It must be shielded. If you expose the core, the radiation kills everything around it. Keep it shielded. Draw power from it, but do not display it. So here is the strategy moving forward. This is how you live from this day on. The 2 Ds, doubt and distraction. Remember these enemies. When you speak too soon, you invite doubt and distraction. From this moment, you are on a need-to-know basis with the world. Does this person need to know my salary? No. Does this person need to know my next business move? No. Does this person need to know my marriage struggles? No. If they don't need to know, you don't need to speak. The art of deflection. People will pry. They will ask questions. How much money do you make? Are you dating anyone? What are you working on? You need to have your shields up. You need to learn the art of the vague answer. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm working on a few interesting projects. I'll let you know when they're ready. We're working through things just like everyone else. Be polite, be unmovable. You owe no one your truth. Your truth is expensive. Do not give it to people who cannot afford it. 3, the results are the noise. Let your results be the only announcement you ever make. Imagine the shock on their faces. They thought you were stagnant. They thought you were finished. And then, suddenly, you launched a business. You buy the house. You change your physique. You drop the album. Boom. No warning. No hype. Just execution. That shock, that is respect. That is influence. When you move in silence, your success hits like a thunderclap. It cannot be denied. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be sabotaged because it is already done. You are building a skyscraper. When they dig the foundation for a skyscraper, they dig deep. They put up fences. They cover the site with tarps. It looks like a hole in the ground for a long time. People walk by and look into the hole and say, nothing is happening. Let them talk about the hole. You know what you are pouring into that foundation. You know the steel you are laying down. And once that structure starts to rise, it rises fast, and it touches the clouds, the cliffhanger. But there is one final warning I must give you. You can master the silence. You can build the discipline. You can wake up at 4 a.m. and train your body and mind. You can integrate your shadow. You can hide your plans from the world. But even the strongest fortress has a weakness. Even the thickest walls have a gate. And there is one specific person, one archetype, who you will be tempted to let in. They don't look like an enemy. They don't look like a hater. They look like a savior. They look like the one person who finally gets you. They will come to you in your moment of greatest victory or your moment of deepest weakness, and you will want to open the gate. You will want to hand them the keys to everything you have built. If you let this person in, they will rot your empire from the inside out. They are the Trojan horse. And the most terrifying part, you probably speak to them every single day. Who is this person? And how do you spot them before they destroy you? We left off with a warning. I told you that even if you build the walls, even if you master the silence, there is a Trojan horse waiting to destroy you. There is one person you will want to let in. Who is it? It isn't your enemy. It isn't the hater. It isn't the critic. You have your guard up against them. You know how to block a punch. No, the Trojan horse is the early validator. This is the person, the friend, the partner, the fan who applauds you before you have crossed the finish line. This is the person who says, wow, that's an amazing idea. You're going to be a billionaire. You look great. You've already lost so much weight when you've only lost 2 pounds. Why are they dangerous? Because they steal your hunger. There is a terrifying mechanism in the human brain. Science calls it identity substitution, or the premature dopamine reward. When you tell this person your big plan, and they clap for you, and they tell you how smart you are, your brain records that moment as a victory. You get the chemical high of success without the sweat of execution. You feel the satisfaction of the win before you have fought the battle. And in that moment of comfort, the warrior inside you falls asleep. Jack Ma warned us about this. He said, when you announce a plan, you receive the applause at the starting line, and that applause kills the discipline required to reach the finish line. You trade the grueling reality of the work for the instant gratification of the compliment. The Trojan horse enters your fortress carrying a gift, the gift of validation. And once you accept that gift, you put down your sword. You stop waking up at 4 a.m. You stop grinding when it hurts. Why? Because you already got the reward. You already felt successful in that conversation. You must become ruthless with your need for approval. You must look at that early validator and realize that while their intentions might be sweet, their praise is poison to your potential. Do not drink it. When they ask, what are you working on? And you feel that urge to impress them, you feel that desperate need for them to look at you with admiration, you must kill that urge. You must look them in the eye and say, I'm just working. You'll see it when it's done. Starve your ego so you can feed your destiny. Now, look at what happens when you keep the Trojan horse out. Look at what happens when you seal the fortress completely. We are moving past the pain now. We are moving into the realm of physics and supernatural power. Think about a bow and arrow. To create power, you have to pull the string back. You have to create tension. You have to hold it. The longer you hold it, the more potential energy you store. If you release the tension too early, if you let the string go halfway, the arrow flops on the ground. It hits nothing. But if you hold it in the silence, even when your arm shakes, even when the pressure is unbearable, when you finally release, that arrow flies with unstoppable force. This is the physics of silence. When you have a massive vision, a business that will change your family's history, a body transformation that will shock your ex, a masterpiece you are creating, and you tell no one, you create internal pressure. That pressure is not stress. That pressure is power. It builds up inside you like steam in a boiler engine. It has nowhere to escape through your mouth, so it has to escape through your actions. It forces you to move. It wakes you up early. It keeps you focused late at night. The energy that you would have wasted on chatting at the water cooler is now being funneled directly into the engine of your success. You become a nuclear reactor of productivity. History is filled with men and women who understood this. Look at Nehemiah in the ancient texts. When he had the vision to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, a massive, impossible task, he didn't hold a town hall meeting. He didn't post a status update. The scripture says he went out at night in the dark and inspected the ruins in secret. He told no one what God had put in his heart to do. Why? Because he knew that premature exposure brings premature opposition. He knew that if he announced the plan before the foundation was laid, the enemies would come in and stop the work. So he built in silence. He established the structure in the dark. And by the time the enemies realized what was happening, the wall was already halfway up. It was too late to stop him. This is your new strategy. You are going to build your wall in the night. Imagine the freedom of this. You no longer have to explain yourself to people who don't understand the blueprint. You no longer have to defend your dreams to people who have nightmares. You no longer have to justify your price to people who can't afford you. You are free. You are moving like a ghost. There is a psychological concept called the observer effect. In quantum physics, observing a particle changes its behavior. In your life, allowing others to observe your unfinished work changes the outcome. It introduces doubt. It introduces the 2 Ds, doubt and distraction. But when you remove the observers, when you work in the dark, you are pure potential. You are limitless. I want you to see yourself a year from now. But to see that future, we have to look at the ultimate model of this power. Think about the greatest figure in history, Jesus of Nazareth. Regardless of your faith, look at the strategy. He had the most important mission in the history of the universe. He had the power to heal, to speak life, to change the world. And what did he do for 30 years? Nothing public, silence, obscurity. 30 years of hiddenness for 3 years of impact. Think about the ratio. 10 years of silence for every 1 year of public glory. We live in a generation that wants 30 seconds of silence and 30 years of fame. And that is why we are fragile. That is why we break under pressure, because we haven't built the root system in the dark. The bamboo tree spends 5 years growing underground. You water it, you fertilize it, and you see nothing. If you were foolish, you would dig it up and say it's not working. You would tell your neighbors, I'm growing bamboo, and they would laugh at your empty patch of dirt. But you, the awakened you keep watering. You keep working. You keep the secret. And then, in the 5th year, it breaks the surface. And in 6 weeks, just 6 weeks, it shoots up 90 feet in the air. Did it grow 90 feet in 6 weeks? No. It grew 90 feet in 5 years and 6 weeks. It was the silence that built the structure to support the height. You are in your bamboo season. You are in your Jesus at 25 inches season, fully capable, fully anointed, but fully hidden. This is not a punishment. This is protection. God is hiding you because he is heating you. He is forging you in the fire. And if he pulls you out of the furnace too soon to show you off, you will be brittle. You will break when the weight of glory lands on your shoulders. So embrace the obscurity. Love the dark. The dark is where the diamonds are made. The dark is where the film is developed. If you expose the film to the light too soon, the image is ruined forever. The new identity. The untouchable. As you embrace this silence, you will feel a shift in your identity. You will stop being the talker, and you will become the doer. You will walk into a room, and people will feel a difference in your frequency. They won't be able to put their finger on it. You won't be the loudest one at the table anymore. You won't be the one bragging about your car or your crypto or your hustle. You will be sitting back, observing, listening, smiling. There is a massive power in being the one who knows, but doesn't say. Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power teaches us, always say less than necessary. When you are silent, you appear profound. You appear in control. People will start to project their own fantasies onto you. They will wonder, what is he up to? Why is she so confident? Your silence makes you larger than life. you will become the unverified. In a world where everyone is verified on social media, you will be unverified in reality. Nobody will know your next move. Nobody will know your bank balance. Nobody will know your weakness. And because they don't know, they can't touch you. You become the grandmaster on the chessboard. The novice player announces, checkmate in 3 moves. The grandmaster just moves the piece. He doesn't need to speak because the result is inevitable. Imagine the look on their faces. Imagine the people who doubted you. Imagine the ex who left you. Imagine the boss who overlooked you. They are expecting you to stay the same. They are expecting you to complain. They are expecting you to be average. And then, one day, boom, the result hits the table. You don't announce the plan to buy the house. You invite them to the housewarming. You don't announce the plan to write the book. You send them the Amazon link. You don't announce the plan to get fit. You just walk in the room, and your presence demands respect. That shock, that silence that falls over the room when they see what you have become, that is better than any cheap dopamine hit you could ever get from bragging. That is the feeling of true power. That is the thunderclap of execution. This isn't just theory. Look at the titans of our world. Look at Beyonce. She drops an album with 0 marketing. No interviews, no hype, no coming soon. Just, here it is. The world stops. Why? Because she mastered the art of moving in silence. She understands that mystery creates value. Look at Apple. They are the most secretive company on earth. They fire employees for leaking rumors. Why? Because they know that the secret creates the magic. When they reveal a product, it changes the market because nobody saw it coming. Look at the Navy SEALs. They don't wear uniforms that scream, I am a killer. They look like ordinary men. They are the quiet professionals. They do the hardest work in the dark, and they let the freedom of the nation be their testimony. You are now a quiet professional of your own life. You are deleting the need for validation. You are deleting the pick-me energy. You are stepping into the I chosen myself energy. And here is the beautiful paradox. The less you share, the more you have to give. When you stop leaking your energy on gossip, on complaining, on bragging, you fill up. Your cup runneth over. You become a person of substance. When you finally do speak, people listen because you don't waste words. Your words become heavy. They carry weight. They carry authority. You become a safe haven for others because you know how to keep your own secrets. People will trust you with theirs. You become a leader. You become a pillar. The momentum of the unspoken. So here is the vision. For the next 6 months, you are going to disappear, not physically. You'll still go to work. You'll still smile at your family. But spiritually, you are going underground. You are going to adopt the need to know policy. If they don't need to know, they don't get to know. You are going to freeze your credit, not just literally, but metaphorically. You are freezing the credit you give to others for your self-worth. You are taking your reputation off the market. It is not for sale. You are going to stop explaining your why. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You owe yourself an execution. You are going to build a firewall around your mind. Every time you have a negative thought, you catch it. You don't speak it. You don't give it life. You strangle it in the silence. And as you do this, day by day, brick by brick, you will feel something rising inside you. It will start as a whisper, then a hum, then a vibration, then a roar. It is the sound of your potential finally being realized. It is the sound of the dam breaking. It is the sound of the flood. You are going to shock the world. Not because you tried to impress them, but because you impressed yourself. You proved to yourself that you could hold the fire without getting burned. The cliffhanger. But we are not done yet. We have built the fortress. We have identified the enemies. We have locked the gates. We have started the work in the dark. But there is one final thing, one final terrifying realization that you must face before you are truly free. You see, everything we have talked about so far is about protecting yourself from others, protecting yourself from their envy, their doubt, their sabotage. But the greatest enemy, the ultimate saboteur, is not outside the walls. He is inside. There is a traitor in the fortress. And if you do not silence this specific voice, if you do not conquer this one final thing, then all your silence, all your discipline, all your hard work will be for nothing. You will build the empire, and then you will burn it down yourself with a single match. This is the final gate. Most people never walk through it. Most people get to this point. They get the success, they get the money, and then they self-destruct. Why? Because they didn't know the sixth secret. Are you brave enough to face the traitor in the mirror? Are you ready to hear the final absolute truth that separates the temporary winners from the legends? Turn the page. Let's finish this. We are at the end of the line. We have locked the gates on your plans, your weaknesses, your finances, your conflicts, and your good deeds. But I told you there was a traitor inside the fortress. I told you there was a sixth secret. The one thing that, if released, will cause the walls to crumble from the inside out. The traitor is your need to be understood. And the sixth secret you must never ever share is your why. This is the hardest one, because when we start changing, when we start moving in silence, people get uncomfortable. They sense the shift in your energy. They see you pulling away from the gossip. They see you waking up early. They see you reading instead of scrolling. And they ask you, why are you acting so weird? Why are you doing this? What's the point? And the traitor inside you, your ego, screams. Explain it to them. Make them understand. Make them approve. You want to say, I'm doing this because God gave me a vision, or I'm doing this because I'm breaking a generational curse, or I'm doing this because I'm going to change the world. Stop. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Do not explain your sacred why to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. The moment you try to justify your transformation to someone who is asleep, you are handing them the authority to judge your calling. You are asking for permission to be great. And let me tell you something, they will never give it to you. They can't. They don't have the capacity to understand the language of your destiny. When Nehemiah was building the wall, he didn't hold a town hall meeting to explain his spiritual motivation. He just said, I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. He didn't explain the why, he just stated the what. Your why is your fuel. It is the nuclear core of your reactor. If you expose the core, the energy dissipates. If you keep it sealed, the pressure builds, and that pressure turns into propulsion. You have to be okay with being the villain in their story, so you can be the hero in yours. Let them think you're arrogant. Let them think you're distant. Let them think you've lost your mind. Carl Jung taught us that the only way to truly find yourself is to risk being completely misunderstood by the collective. Protect your why like it is the last flame on earth, because it is. Now, imagine what happens when you actually do this. Imagine what happens when you seal all 6 leaks. You stop bleeding energy. You stop handing your power to your enemies. You stop seeking validation from people who can't even validate themselves. What happens? Critical mass. You become a force of nature. You become what the ancients called the quiet professional. Look at the ocean. On the surface, it might be choppy. It might be noisy. But the deeper you go, the quieter it gets. And the deeper you go, the more power there is. The tsunami doesn't start on the surface. It starts in the deep, silent tectonic plates, shifting miles underwater. When you live this way, you become the tsunami. You walk into a room, and you don't have to announce your presence. Your energy introduces you before you even speak. People respect you, and they don't even know why. They respect you because they can feel that you are not leaking. They can feel that you are whole. They can feel that you are not begging for their attention. We talked about the bamboo tree, 5 years underground. But do you know what happens after it shoots up 90 feet? It becomes a forest. It changes the ecosystem. It provides shade. It provides shelter. Your silence is not just for you. This is the part that brings tears to my eyes, because it is so beautiful. Your silence is for your children. Your silence is for your family. When you stop running your mouth and start building your legacy in the dark, you are breaking chains that have held your family down for generations. You are paying off debts your grandfather made. You are setting up a future where your children start at the finish line of your life. They don't need to hear you talk about being a good parent. They need to see you standing like a mountain, unshakable, unbothered by the opinions of sheep. They need to see you succeed. Albert Einstein said that the example is not the main thing in influencing others. It is the only thing. Your example, forged in the fires of silence, will scream louder than any lecture you could ever give. Imagine the look on your mother's face when you hand her the keys to the house you bought her. Not the house you promised her for 10 years, but the house you quietly bought. Imagine the look in your partner's eyes when they realize you didn't just talk about changing, but you actually became a new person. That moment, that silence where words fail because the reality is so overwhelming, that is the victory, that is the goal. We are talking about becoming the unverified in a verified world. We are talking about becoming the gray man, the one who moves through the crowd unnoticed, but who controls the outcome. There is a peace that comes with this, a peace that surpasses all understanding. When you don't share your financial struggles, you learn to trust your own resourcefulness. You learn to trust God. You stop looking for a handout and you start looking for a way out, and you find it. When you don't share your relationship fights, you learn to fight for the relationship, not against it. You build a sanctuary in your home that the world cannot touch. When you don't share your next move, you learn to trust your own intuition. You stop asking for directions from people who are lost. You develop a direct line to the divine. This is what it means to be spiritually awake. It means you understand that the most precious things in life, love, faith, vision, power, are invisible. And because they are invisible, they must be carried in the invisible realm of your heart. Maya Angelou said that your peace is a treasure more precious than gold. When you protect it, you become a reservoir of strength for everyone around you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. But when you are sealed, when you are full, you overflow. You become dangerous to the enemy because he can't find a handle on you. He can't trigger you because you don't tell him what hurts. He can't sabotage your plan because he doesn't know what it is. He can't use your pride against you because you aren't seeking applause. You become invisible to the radar of hell and invincible in the kingdom of heaven. So here we are, the end of the speech. But this is the beginning of your life. I am not just asking you to agree with me. I am not asking you to like this video and move on. I am challenging you. I am daring you. I am issuing a 30-day vow of silence. For the next 30 days, you are going to disappear. Not physically, you will still go to work, you will still smile, you will still be kind, but spiritually, you are going dark. 1. No announcements, no big things coming, posts, no telling your friends about the new diet, no telling your family about the business idea, nothing. You choke the urge to speak, and you channel that energy into the work. 2. No complaints. When things go wrong, you do not pick up the phone. You do not vent. You take that frustration to your journal. You take it to the gym. You take it to God. You transmute the pain into power. 3. No explanations. When people ask why you aren't drinking, or why you aren't coming to the party, or why you are up so early, you do not explain. You say, I'm just focusing on me right now, and you leave it there. You let them wonder. 4. No bragging. When you win, and you will win in these 30 days, you celebrate in silence. You high-five yourself in the mirror. You buy yourself a steak, but you tell no one. You let the feeling of the win settle into your bones without leaking it out for a like. Can you do it? Most people can't. Most people are addicted to the noise. They are terrified of the silence because in the silence they have to face themselves. But you are different. You didn't listen to this for 4 parts just to go back to being average. You are ready to be the lion. Listen to me. The butterfly does not look back at the caterpillar and explain why it chose to fly. It just flies. The eagle does not apologize to the chicken for leaving the ground. It just soars. You have spent enough of your life explaining yourself. You have spent enough of your life leaking your power. You have spent enough of your life asking for permission to be who you were created to be. The permission is granted, the gate is open, but you must walk through it alone, and you must walk through it in silence. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You walk into a room, you look different, you speak less, but you say more. Your bank account is different. Your body is different. Your spirit is bulletproof. People will look at you and say, "What happened to you? You changed." And you will look back at them with a smile that knows secrets they will never understand, and you will say nothing. Because the masterpiece doesn't need to explain itself to the audience. Seal your lips, build your fortress, shock the world. Now, get to work.